Most people think the fastest way to be liked is to try harder, smile more, say yes more, be more helpful, be more available. It sounds right, but here's the strange part. The harder you chase people's approval, the faster it seems to slip away. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the people who try the least often become the people everyone wants to be around. Because there's one hidden rule of human behavior almost nobody notices until it's already costing them friends, respect, and opportunities. Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head for hours? Maybe you worried you talked too much, or maybe you wondered if you should have said something funnier, kinder, smarter. I have. Most of us have. And that's where the trap begins. Your brain quietly starts asking one dangerous question. What can I do to make people like me? It sounds innocent, but it changes everything. Imagine holding a handful of sand. Hold it gently, and it stays. Squeeze as hard as you can, and it slips through your fingers. People aren't that different. The more pressure you put on every interaction, the less natural it becomes. Not because you're a bad person, because people can feel pressure, even when you never say a word. Here's what usually happens. You meet someone new. You want them to think you're interesting. So you laugh a little harder, agree a little faster, talk a little more, offer help before they even ask. You think you're creating a connection, but without realizing it, you've moved the spotlight away from the conversation and onto yourself, not in an arrogant way, in an anxious way. And anxiety is surprisingly contagious. People don't always remember your words. They remember how they felt around you. Now here's the weird part. Most people believe confidence is about saying the right thing. It isn't. Confidence is the absence of needing every sentence to land perfectly. That's a huge difference. Think about the friend everyone enjoys being around. They're not constantly checking if everyone approves. Sometimes they pause. Sometimes they disagree. Sometimes they even make awkward jokes that don't land. And somehow, people still like them. Why? We'll come back to that in a minute. Because first, there's another invisible force working against you. It's called the approval trap. Picture a magnet. The harder two magnets are forced together the wrong way, the stronger they push apart. Relationships can work like that. The more desperately someone tries to create closeness, the more the other person unconsciously feels the need for space. Not because they're cruel, because humans naturally protect their freedom. Psychologists call this reactance. When people feel pushed, even gently, they instinctively pull back. That's why the friend who texts 10 times after getting no reply usually gets ignored even longer. The problem isn't the messages, it's the pressure behind them. Now ask yourself something. Have you ever stopped liking someone because they suddenly became too available? Maybe they replied instantly every time, canceled plans for you, agreed with everything you said. At first it felt flattering. Then something changed. Nothing bad happened. But somehow the relationship felt heavier. That's the approval trap from the other side. Which leads to another hidden rule. People trust authenticity more than perfection. Sounds obvious, but we rarely act like we believe it. Imagine eating dinner with someone who never spills a drink, never forgets a word, never admits they're wrong, never says, "I don't know." It sounds impressive until it starts feeling fake. Perfect people leave no room for connection. Real people do. There's actually something strangely comforting about seeing tiny imperfections. A missed word, a laugh at the wrong moment, forgetting someone's name and admitting it. These moments don't always lower respect. Often, they build it because they signal something your brain desperately looks for: safety. Have you noticed how conversations get easier once someone admits something embarrassing? Suddenly, everyone relaxes. It's like someone finally opened a window in a stuffy room. Nobody has to pretend anymore. Earlier, I asked why the people who seem to try the least often become the most liked. Here's the answer. It's not because they don't care. It's because they aren't trying to control every outcome. There's a difference. One comes from confidence. The other comes from fear. Fear whispers, if they don't like me, something is wrong with me. Confidence quietly says, if we connect, great. If we don't, that's okay too. People can sense that difference long before they understand it. But here's where many people misunderstand everything. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant or pretending you don't care. That's just another performance. Real confidence isn't acting unavailable. It's being emotionally okay, whether someone approves or not. Think about your favorite teacher or coworker or neighbor. Was it because they impressed everyone? Probably not. It was because you never felt like you had to manage their emotions. You could simply exist around them. And that's rare. Here's something I don't hear people admit very often. There were times in my own life when I thought if I could just become more interesting, more useful, more impressive, people would naturally stay. So I over-explained, over-helped, overthought. It was exhausting. And strangely, the more effort I invested in being liked, the less like myself I became. That realization stung, but it was also freeing because once you stop performing, you have something much more valuable: presence. Now let's close another question we left hanging. Remember the friend everyone enjoys being around? Here's what they're secretly doing differently. They're curious, not performative. Instead of wondering, how am I doing? They're wondering, who is this person? That tiny shift changes everything. Because attention is one of the rarest gifts we can give someone. When you're fully present, people don't leave thinking, that person was amazing. They leave thinking, I felt amazing around that person. And that's the feeling they come back for. One final question. If you removed the need for everyone to like you, how differently would you act tomorrow? Would you speak a little slower, laugh a little more naturally, disagree once in a while, leave a text unanswered until you actually had time? Maybe, maybe not. But here's what I hope you remember. People aren't drawn to those who chase approval. They're drawn to those who are comfortable enough to stop chasing it. Remember the handful of sand from the beginning? The lesson was never about holding on tighter. It was about trusting that what belongs in your hand doesn't need to be squeezed. And maybe that's true for people too.